a lot of physical, like massive physical damage. Or they're trying to do some of their CoL strats.
Oh, the Winter Wyvern axe.
Yeah, I don't know.
CoL strats.
Yeah, they're the only ones who does it like double jungle. It was pretty good.
Splinter Blast can get rid of illusions real quick, so if you're worried about Shadow Demon illusions, then that's a good one to have, right?
Okay. Brainstorming.
But then again, that hero is like extremely weak in the laning phase. He does not offer much to zone the enemy offlaner or roam around. You are picking the hero knowing that you're going to sacrifice your early game, but you're going into the mid game with a very strong support. Like his spells are very good in the mid game fights, the Curse and the CoL Embrace.
I am rolling my eyes because it's happened again. That same duo, the partnership.
But like Ben mentioned, Wyvern is pretty good against those illusions and the aura from the Luna.
That's what she said.
Sorry. That's what.
Credit where it is due.
But
sorry,
I like the Mirana
my bad.
No, it's okay. It was a good point to make because I made it too. Thanks. No, Mirana picked up when we talked about it. Cancel plays a mean Mirana.
Yep.
And even the games that they lost where... Cancel played Mirana 4 times, 2 wins, 2 losses. Even the games that they lost, he was actually doing really well before.
This pick is very good for CoL because they pick the hero on 2 roles. So when you open a draft, you want to have heroes that can fit in multiple positions for your team because Z-Freak plays the hero as well. And he's one of the good mid heroes to deal with the Shadow Demon illusions spams as well with the Aghanims. So all in all, pretty good pickup here for CoL. Okay. And they removed the Tinker, which is also one of the Nana's favorite heroes. Like Tinker, Storm, he likes to play those heroes.
Tinker and Alchemist have both been taken away by complexity. No more of that Alchemist gameplay.
Yeah, they don't want to play like a drawn out. Like in the game that they beat Wings, they played a very drawn out game, like Tinker plus Luna as well. Like the game went till very late and they had very, very good late game and it became very difficult for Wings to deal with them. But Wings in the end still won the game, but I think they won because they were the better team, but they didn't have the better strategy in the late game.
And there's the Spirit Breaker again.
It's back.
This is like their offlane hero, right, Ben?
Z-Freak played it as well. Monkeys played it once and Z-Freak played it once.
So
Z-Freak actually has played only different heroes the entire event so far.
Oh, so their heroes are basically very open. Mirana and SB are played by multiple players on their team.
Well, wasn't everyone very impressed by Z-Freak's Rubik? Was that the one that really turned heads the most?
Yeah. Z-Freak's Rubik,
Z-Freak's everything.
Yeah, he's definitely, I think, in my opinion, their best player on the team. He's really, really good.
Yeah. Would you not say, though, that it is going to be a cancel Mirana, considering the OD is already banned and cancel plays
a lot of Mirana?
Yeah, and it's still pretty open, though. But then again, it's really good to have, if you have some off-lane SB and you have a mid Mirana, it's easy to set up kills, charge into arrow. A lot of pressure on the mid laner. They might need like a mid laner that's more difficult to kill, like someone that has maybe escape or very tanky.
Okay.
All right. Well, with the Luna and Shadow Demon, I guess that's something that complexity can really prepare for because that is such an obvious combination to go for. Still, so complexity has something in mind. I'm curious to see what Warrior Gaming has in mind because how can you prepare for the draft that complexity has so far?
You win the laning phase really hard. I think that Spirit Breaker is kind of weak as a support, even weak as an offlaner, and the Winter Wyvern's especially weak as a support. So you need to make sure that you don't give free kills to the Spirit Breaker Mirana. And then once you do that, you'll buy time for your Luna to get big. Timbersaw, one of the better illusion clearing heroes. It's on the side of Warriors Gaming. Solid laner overall.
Just open for them as well. They could put him offlane, they could put him mid. But mostly they play this hero mid on Nana.
Nana's taking Saw?
Yeah, very, very likely, but it's still possible that they do it like off-lane with +1, like Timber +1 off-lane. Like Warriors Gaming are also a team that prioritize a lot on winning their lanes. They want to have a good time in their laning phase, and CoL right now have a little weak lanes because of the Wyvern pick.
Couldn't they just Darkseer and just kind of win most of their lanes though, and have better team fight? I'd be scared of that, personally.
Yeah, that too, but Timber is really good because it allows you the flexibility. You can still put him mid or off lane. Whereas if you draft the Darkseer, he pretty much has only one way to go about it. You have to put him on the off lane.
So less predictability by picking Timbersaw.
Yeah, yes, you have much more options. You have a lot of things that you can change.
You can be responsive.
Yes, whereas for CoL right now, they are pretty much on the being very aggressive page with those 3 picks. They're going to put a lot of pressure.
If we're going to assume that the heroes are Cancel and Monkey's heroes, respectively Mirana and Spirit Breaker, what would you like to see from Moo? If you're going to have a lane with the Winter Wyvern supporting you, Is there? We've
Ursa?
seen him
I
play
don't know.
Weaver a lot as well.
I like Ursa though. Like they're on dire side, they can maybe use that, and Ursa fits the build of like running around.
Another.
They are going color coded,
This
guys.
is like.
I'm very happy
this
with
is,
this.
wait, is this a core Lash, Ben?
Swindles has been playing Lash.
But then that's a Wyvern.
Yeah. I think core.
Core Lash.
I think if he's farmed enough, he can actually deal with the illusions. I think Lushrak's actually an excellent illusion clearer.
and it's very good against Timber as well, because against Timber you don't want to build physical. You want a spell hero, so you force the Timber to get maybe an early hood. You get an early hood to deal with it, so you can't really get your Bloodstone earlier and snowball from there.
I'm going to be really upset if complexity choose someone that's not blue.
Their heroes are...
I need another blue hero, please.
But still, their heroes are really open-ended. They could still lane these multiple ways, play in different roles. And for Warriors, it's pretty much easier to guess what they're trying to do.
Okay.
For your sake, Alex, I think maybe a Sven would be in order.
Yes, that would complete
it
the
would
set.
mean that it's not a core Leshrac, but at least it's blue, you know? And you got something to pair off.
That's what I'm here
with,
for,
so.
the top tier analysis. Make it blue, please.
Warriors, on the other hand, they might want a green hero, a Spirit. I know they like to play the hero. It's pretty good at dealing with the Winter Wyvern, because in the team fights, when you're focusing one target, you don't want him to save the other target, so you can silence him. But this is also one of the heroes that they like to play a lot. Conquer, just very old school things with SD Luna Conquer. We don't see that a lot anymore nowadays because the combo has been significantly nerfed. The Torrent, you don't deal so much damage now. But still, it's pretty good in team fights with the Luna. You have the Bolt and the Eclipse. You can negate a lot of the damage coming from, say, a core Leshrac. So
this is a lineup that Spirit Breaker doesn't really want to charge into. I feel like you're just going to die.
Spirit Breaker.
Conquer, Timbersaw, Luna.
You run in, there's a Bolt, there's a Rolling Death. It's not a fun game for SB if you don't have a BKB.
Does that mean he's more likely to be support?
But then again, look at their hero. So if he's support, then yeah, I guess they can still do it.
But if he's support, he's never going to get a BKB.
No, if he's support, then Lash is going to be like what, carry, like safe lane and then Mirana mid.
Or off lane.
Yeah. It's like a bit weird though. I don't know.
It is fun that we are this far through the draft and still not sure where everything's going.
It is really the thing with CoL's lineup. You really do not know how they're going to lane this and how they're going to put their roles. And once again, CoL banning out all the Nana heroes, the Tinker and Storm. In my opinion, two of his best heroes.
They're still waiting for that the mid hero to come out.
They're expecting the Timber to be off-lane Timber. That's why they ban out the Storm. But I still think that the Timber could still go mid depending on matchup. Maybe they were figuring that if we pick Lash and the enemy team might think we are laning Lash mid and Timber doesn't do very well against Lash, so they're expecting the Timber to be an off-lane Timber.
We should address this now, Ben. Leshrac is starting to be picked more and more in this draft. I remember just when we were doing the complexity desk, oh, Leshrac, that's rare, it's very unique to complexity. In fact, in the Slacks interview they said, oh, we pick it because it's similar to a hero from a different game and we liked it. That was literally their explanation. It has a stun and does damage. That was their summary.
He's good in the lane. I think the hero is really good in the lane, and he provides one thing that most of the position 5 supports do not do.
What's that?
He pushes towers. None of the position 5 supports do that. They are mostly either like Dazzle, they heal you, or they have like AoE ultimate like a Disruptor, but none of them actually push down towers. It allows you to snowball and play faster. In this meta, we always talk about if you play fast, you put the enemy on pressure, it's really good for your team.
And it also, they've also tried the other ones, like I say, Shadow Shaman, which we saw lose. And
that's an Omni Knight, by the way, Ben.
Yep, I saw Omni.
That's a good way to deal with the Winter Wyvern ultimate, because when he curses your teammates, you can pop the GA and you negate all the damage coming from that.
But how are you going to lane it?
It's an off-lane Omni Knight,
and
Timber is going to be mid.
Which is what you suspected at the start, right?
Timber, mid-Timber.
And WG Unity banned out the Juggernaut, so they were still expecting a core, and it is a Weaver. Is that in blue enough?
That's blue enough for me.
Yeah,
I'm happy. Yeah, they've won me over. Complexity.
Good.
Yeah, that was it. My prediction is justified because they've gone full blue, just like you. Woo. Hey, I'm a poet, and I didn't know.
But I'm also happy. I see the draft now. I'm happy with my predictions, sticking to the Warriors draft.
Hey, you're happy with that one?
Yeah.
Was it the mystery? What was it that sold you?
I just like their overall drafting. The whole package, having the team fight heroes.
Okay, so we expect big team fights from Warriors. It's going to be a bit of a battle there. Complexity are the favourites of the desk. We'll see what the casters have to say about this one because our draft is done. It's our third series of the day. We've already waved goodbye to 2 teams, both Wings and IGV. And now to find out who our third on the chopping block is, it's your casters. It's none other than OD and Gods to guide you through this battle.
Thank you very much, Alex. Indeed, we're getting ready for it here in the theatre. compLexity Gaming going up against Warriors Gaming. I'm Odie Pixel, I'm here with Gods. We're seeing the draft, and Gods, as you pointed out, compLexity with a sort of bleed blue strat here with their picks. It's all blue. What's going on, Gods?
Not sure, you haven't got the memo. This is the wrong team for the blue strat, but it's definitely a team that is in red-hot form when it comes to compLexity. Their dismantling of EG and the group stages put them on a high, put them on the radar for a lot of Dota 2 viewers out there, and they are a team to look out for in the main event, and probably pretty happy with the matchup. They got WGU Unity, they upset Wings, but ended up not looking dominant in their group. They got beaten pretty badly by DC, so definitely agreeing with the overall panel where compLexity come in as favorites.
I mean, these drafts indeed, very, very interesting things to see. compLexity first picking up that Wyvern as they talked about in this finisher, getting Moo on that position 1 Weaver. In terms of lanes, though, what do you expect we're going to see? Because there's a lot of flexibility from both sides here, isn't there, Gods?
Yeah, I guess the question is, does either team want to go for the aggressive lane? But so far it looks like Kang is going to the offlane on the Omni Knight, and it's going to be the offlane of Monkeys on the Spirit Breaker. So no aggro tri lanes. The big difference in the two offlaners, Spirit Breaker can get active early. We saw Monkeys play some very weird offlaners like a Bounty Hunter in one of their games. He wants to gank, he wants to roam around. For Warriors Gaming, Omni Knight, he doesn't roam. He sits in the lane, he leeches XP, he comes online much later than the Spirit Breaker does.
Oh, we'll see at the start. I mean, both teams having a few members down towards the bottom rune, but
compLexity actually looking like they might dual lane down bottom. They've got Z-Freak with a Null Talisman. Theoretically, he could look to partner up with the Spirit Breaker and pose a threat to the Luna's laning stage. It would at least tie the Kunkka a bit more to that bottom lane, but we'll see if that's going to be the plan. Z-Freak already heading towards the top lane now.
So this mid lane matchup, Cancel on Mirana up against, of course, Nanar's Timbersaw. Do we expect to see a hero kind of run away with this lane, or is it just going to be a case of even trade with the farm?
Pretty even trade. Mirana's right-click damage doesn't really harass or zone a Timber very much. Timber just stacks up the reactive armor, so there's no way to really zone him. We'll see a very even matchup between the two. If anything, maybe even ever so slightly Timber favored, at least initially, with all the reactive armor he can get.
Bottom lane, we can see Monkeys just hiding in the trees as we're trying to sap XP. But this dual lanes at the moment coming up from WG Unity against this 3-1-1 from compLexity.
Yeah, this bottom lane's kind of lost their creep equilibrium. The range creep's already died on the dire side, which means it's going to push out, so they'll be forced to either do a side pull here, or they're going to be giving Monkeys a lot of XP. It looks like Monkeys should be in for a pretty good time as far as being able to get some XP out of this lane. Already going up Shadow Demon. It's getting a bit aggressive at this bottom lane.
Oh, got the disruption.
Missed the surround though.
Yeah, simply just trying to force Monkeys away from it. Top lane, meanwhile, though, compLexity moving in with the tri-lane. Kangaroo falling incredibly low. They'll look to chase him out. He's trying to juke it, but he's already used his spells. And Swindly Malones will take first blood, bringing down Kangaroo.
Yeah, he's not on the Leshrac we've been seeing. That's in Z-Freak's hands, but still on point with the Winter Wyvern. Immediate TP back. There is a lot of experience waiting for them in this top lane, but that's something Swindles is already looking to deny with that side pull. And that's 3 range creeps. That's a lot of XP. Those range creeps, you don't want to lose those as an offlaner, but damage has been done, and it looks like Kang is going to struggle to get as much XP as he'd like out of this lane.
And we can see already Z-Freak just maximizing efficiency, getting the stacks done. We'll be under the watchful eyes of that Radiant Observer Ward, though, so Warriors Gaming are going to know what's going on.
Yeah, because of the stack, he gets the rune late, so it will go the way of the Kunkka, but just an illusion rune, not something Kunkka can make too many plays off of.
Top lane again, just a lot of harassment onto Kang, trying to minimize the experience that he's able to gain from this offlane. And talking about off-lanes, down on the bottom, over to the side of compLexity. Monkeys, again, level 3, not finding a lot of CS. Looks like he's having trouble getting close and personal with this SD Luna lane, and now with the pools, Warriors Gaming able to secure a little bit of a better momentum to make sure that Arjit has the safety to get that farm he needs.
Level 3 is a lot for an offlaner this early on, and that's, I think, partly why they want to rotate Lesh down here. They feel they can get kills.
Z-Freak not able to quite get in range there for the follow-up stun, and now Warriors Gaming just turning to fend him back off. Z-Freak, we'll see how much he wants to hang around down here. I mean, how much can this Lesh get it done? Can he rotate towards the mid and look towards Nana, or is that just a gank that's not worth using resources for at this stage?
Probably lacking the damage to get that kill. Cancel has gone for the double arrow Starstorm, hasn't got any points in the leap, so they have got a bit more damage output, but he's going to be stronger paired with the Spirit Breaker. Shadow Demons and Luna both very squishy in this lane. There is the potential Disruption save, but Disruption could also set the Split Earth, so you've got to be very careful about how you use that spell.
Lane again, though. A bit of a skirmish going on between the two. Arfu and Moo both falling low. Moo's starting to salve, but they can't get anything to tick it off, and it's going to be compLexity taking down one. Now look towards Kang as well, but with the Purification, it will be enough to allow him to walk off. But this top lane, it's kind of all falling apart here for Warriors Gaming, giving away 2 kills already in the first 3.5 minutes to compLexity.
Yeah, really nicely played. The coordination between Swindles and Moo is on point so far. They've gotten 2 kills up here, and WG's offlane is just kind of struggling here. Omni Knight has managed to hit level 4, so it's not really hurting their overall strategy too much, but it is giving compLexity a lot more than you were perhaps hoping for, with Moo already off to a good start, 18 CS, and helping out in 2 of those kills. Now you see the overall CS, there's 3 green numbers up there, all CSing well, so I think overall WGU can't be too upset with this lane stage despite the kills they've given up.
Absolutely, that mid lane matchup, 23-4 against the 12-3. That's an absolute win at the moment for Nana. They need to do something about it. They have brought Z-Freak across. He's got an Arcane Rune, so we'll see if he's able to get a couple of stuns out potentially.
I think without a third hero, this is just not a viable kill. He's already got the 15 stacks. If he's starting with 0, you can go for it, but a third, potentially 4th hero is needed. Winter Wyvern is coming from the top room with a smoke.
He's got an infused raindrop as well. It's such a hard hero to gank.
Bringing in number 4, it's a Spirit Breaker charge.
They're committing everything for this one. They need to make it work. compLexity Monkeys to lead the way. Overfly Swindles. They'll get the follow-up stun for Z-Freak. Looking for the arrow. They do get the connection, and with that, they should find the kill. It's a hard one, but they do get it done. compLexity committing 4, but it's the right call to make as they crush the mid, who was already crushing Cancel, doubling the CS of that Mirana. They needed to shut him down.
Yeah, great call from Captain Swindles there, making the solo smoke rotation, but he already had the 2 heroes coming in from bottom, so completely catches Timbersaw by surprise, and that is a much-needed kill because of that CS discrepancy you're talking about. Does free up that mid lane a bit for Cancel to catch up a little bit. He even goes back in the jungle to get an arrow off, so really nicely played there.
Up on the top lane, at the moment, Arfu just hiding in the trees. Swindles will spot him out. It looks like compLexity are going to try and make a little bit of a go. The Splinter Blast not going to quite clip onto Arfu as Swindles just continues to whittle down that stack that he's got created by the side pull. And at the moment, as you said, even though the kills are going the way of compLexity, farm-wise, the edge certainly is still there for the side of Warriors Gaming.
Yeah, a lot of Radiant Vision, though, scouts out the aggression of Z-Freak and Monkeys down here. They should know fairly well where they're positioned down here, so WGU shouldn't be getting caught by surprise. Shadow Demon is ready to defensively disrupt as needed.
We'll see if any of these runes are going to be huge in terms of play. There's a haste rune up top. No one's looked to get it yet, but this could be paramount for the side of compLexity to continue to find another kill, which they need to do. Losing the farm game at the moment, they need to find something in return. And mid lane, that's going to be potentially where they have their eyes on again. Monkeys already moving into position.
Be careful about the aggression now. Luna's hit level 6, so there's that potential for a TP in with Eclipse. That's one of the probably big ways for WGU to turn around some of these ganks that compLexity seem to be very keen to kind of set the tempo early with the rotations. Seen the Winter Wyvern move Spirit Breaker, is hit level 5, so he's ready to get active.
And again at top, trying to chase down Kang, but as you said, even though he goes down the first few times, because he's still got that XP and he's nearly reaching onto level 6, it's becoming a very hard hero for just the Weaver and the Wyverns to do anything about. Meanwhile, in the jungle, Ajit trying to not mess around, pops the Eclipse, but Monkeys able to charge away, and that's going to be the ultimate on cooldown for a good couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's really big when you can have that ulti come out, and now you've got 2 minutes where you don't have to worry about it. If you go diving for a kill at mid or at top, there's no threat of a Luna TP in with Eclipse. She could theoretically TP with a Lucent Beam. She's going aggressive bottom, and yeah, no escape for Z-Freak. Easy setup and kill there.
Yeah, they may not have been able to take down Monkeys, but good rotations from WG.
Yeah. I mean, overall, this early game's been really solid for the 2 WG carries, like the mid and the safe lane farmer. Both of them are top as far as overall net worth goes, and it's only really the supports who are perhaps a bit on the poorer side. WGU, despite giving up the kills, did manage to outlane compLexity.
I mean, you can just tell that by looking at the CS of the Omni Knight. He's nearly got the same as Moo. It's 31 at this stage of the game. The farm that he's found on this offlane, considering the fact that he was taken down twice, is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and now he's level 6, so he's got Purification, Repel, a point in degen. He's saving a skill point in case he needs an ultimate for some kind of situation. This is where WGU get very scary if they're grouping up to push towers. Ideally, they group up as 3 or 4 and still try to maintain this farming efficiency that is giving them the advantage over compLexity.
Mid lane, just Nana playing incredibly aggressively, making sure to keep Cancel in his place.
One of the maybe limitations of CoL's draft, they're very magic damage heavy, which is normally good against the Timber, but we could very easily see, I mean, Nana's got the raindrops, could just rush the straight hood, and then he gets very tanky and hard to kill. Mid lane.
Cancel trying to play his way out of this. Has got the Moonlight Shadow. They've dropped down a sentry. And not enough follow-up control to bring down the Mirana. So Cancel will be okay.
Strong respect to the potential for rotation from some of the dire supports there as well. Never know when that charge is coming in. Speaking of charge, Monkeys has that with the Nether Strike. He's hit level 6, so his threat for ganking gets that much scarier.
And one thing we've got to consider as well, when the team fights do begin in a full scale, as you said, this Timbersaw is going to be hard to kill. Just the backup that they've got, the defensive capabilities, you've got an SD there for the saves, an Omni for the saves, you're going to have the Kunka's Rum on you as well. It could be incredibly hard for Complexity to find those quick pickoffs with the magical damage that they've got when the team fights do start.
Yeah, we'll likely have to see someone even rush a defusal earlier than they would like to.
Bottom, no, hang up our Jet. Coming for a couple of attacks. Monkeys, he's going to hold back, look for the ultimate to set up onto Luna. Luna falling low, needs some sort of help. Is she going to get in time? She's not Arjit to fall. Arfu trying to turn around with the X-Mark Torrent combo onto Monkeys with the rotation from Nana. They'll take down the Spirit Breaker. Arfu falling low here to Pulse Nova, but he's got the repel. Will start to walk it off the right click from Cancel. One more as he jumps forward, will find another. It's 3 for 1 at the moment here. Complexity coming out on top. Now chucked out by Cancel, but it's not going to connect. Kangaroo Nana forced back, and CoL will take the trade there. 3 for 1. Both teams bringing everyone down to the bottom lane for that fight.
Yeah, and the most important thing is Complexity were there before the aggression even came. Mu was hiding in the trees ready for the dive. And it's important to kind of anticipate your opponent's movements rather than react to them. If you react to that aggression by TPing in with 2 or 3 heroes starting with the Weaver, you're not going to get those kills. But because Mu is already there, throws the Swarm immediately as the next TP comes, Complexity got the numbers advantage, and Mu was able to chase down, get the initial kill on Luna, and then even get the Shadow Demon in the backline. So great decision making from him to be ready before the aggression even came.
And a couple of different calls being made here by either side. Warriors Gaming, off the back of losing the fight, still want to make use of the fact that they've got the majority down here and are looking to take a tier 1, but at the same time, Complexity, they're farming up in all lanes, pressuring the mid-tier 1 themselves. So we'll see who's able to get the favourable trade. Warriors Gaming will finish off the tower bottom, mid lane. We'll start to TP over to look to defend it. Arfu with the eyes onto Swindles. Isn't able to get the vision for the X-Mark, tries for a blind Torrent, that won't connect. So the X-Marks bringing him back into Kangaroo's arms, and also more coming across, but Cancel just spots the Moonlight Shadow, make sure that Swindles can flap his way back to safety.
Yeah, we'll get Swindles out, but it's a pretty long cooldown to be using charge. Coming in mid now from Monkeys, they want to go, but Kang is a difficult kill. They want to secure this mid tower.
It could be messy. There's a fair few members of WG towards the mid, and indeed Monkeys holds off. It was a nice attempt, you know, as we saw, they used the Moonlight defensively, but CoL say we can maybe try and use this against them and surprise them with an attack.
And now bottom lane Complexity, they see heroes mid, they're immediately pushing again. This is something that Winter mentioned Leshrac has over other supports, his pushing power, and we're seeing it here. That was a full HP tier 1. Zefric just swoops in with a level 3 Edict, and it's gone. That took no time whatsoever. That's a big punish from Complexity. WG getting really put back in their place for 5-manning a bit too much. We saw them 5-man at bottom, now they're over towards the mid lane, and that's kind of how you want to play against this, is make sure you're getting more on the other lanes away from WG Unity, and then at the, if you've got everything in place, then you defend, but if not, you go for that split push play.
Absolutely, and at this stage of the game, you've got the pushing power of a Luna, but on a support hero, so the trades are going to favour your way if you find the opening to do so, and we can see mid already just pushing onto the tier 2. Z-Freak isn't stopping.
Again, he's got the level 4 Edict this time. He's a little bit scared, seeing a few heroes missing on the map, knowing he's very squishy, and will back off, but that was some good damage onto that tier 2 as well as the tier 1 bottom.
Mid lane, Complexity will finish off the tier 1 mid. X-Nova and Arfu coming in for the defense, and already around the back of the Kangaroo comes in with a purification, bursts down, Monkey's low, move, will get brought back here by the X-Mark. Sentry was down, but nothing to follow through on it. They will get the disruption, soul catch onto Swindles, and Swindles just melts there to the burst of Warriors Gaming. The rest of Complexity just looking to get themselves back out to safety. Z-Free
again,
staying adamant on this bottom lane. Will get the tier 2 down to half health nearly.
Decent damage, Dale. He forced out the reglyph as well, so the tier 1 mid tower reset the glyph, and then he immediately gets it out once more, so now they know if they go for another push or he finds himself in that position to play the split push game, there's no glyph to worry about.
Monkeys. Goes onto Arfu. He does have an ult as well as the backup of Cancel. They'll hit the arrow. Cancel going in close and personal, and great control and play from the two of them to take down a free kill. and allow the pressure to continue on the tier 2 down bottom. Meanwhile, though, Warriors Gaming working on the tier 1 mid. Swindle's going to come across to try and use the Splinter Blast to hold them back. We'll see if they get this one done, and we'll also see if compLexity are able to finish off that push down bottom at the same time. As we can see, that Warriors Gaming committing the more resources for in the mid lane here for this push.
compLexity just seems to be pushing faster because of the edict. Like, Luna's one of those heroes who takes items before she becomes a real pushing threat, and we're just seeing just the Dragonlance treads for now. I mean, this is not an underfarmed Luna by any means. It's more the fact Luna takes more time, needs 2-3 big items, needs like a Manta, needs more items on top of this to really threaten buildings. And Edict, you don't need items. Level 4 Edict pushes the same at any stage of the game. So we're seeing compLexity really threaten the WG Unity side of the map, and they've managed to get some nice deep wards into that Radiant jungle to perhaps set up some later kills as well.
So WG regaining the control though. Bottom lane is no longer being pressured upon by compLexity. The rest of the map starting to open back up for the team. But it's complete on Nana, working towards his next item, as we saw over on Cancel. Point boosting, I believe, has got about 2k nearly on top of that. Okay, just 1k at the moment. So still a bit of time before we are going to see the Ags come out.
And cores for both teams very even on farm. You look at the Weaver, the Luna, they're almost identical. The Timber, the Mirana, it's a small edge going the Timber's way. And Luna has got one Ancient stack there, but hasn't got the Helm of the Dominator, so it's purely relying on supports or heroes to be in the neighborhood to get those stacks going. And that's something which Luna just hasn't had the farm to fall back on because they've been 5-manning. They haven't been prioritizing the farming efficiency.
Top lane Swindle's just dropping the Winter's Curse immediately onto the Omni Knight, allowing Z-Freak to finish off the tower.
He's running in.
And they're going to Moonlight and get the hell out. There's no detection on WG, and he's going to be able to walk this one off.
Runs forwards through them and out of there. Well, okay. That's what happens when you have those sentry wards, and that's something kind of mentioned earlier. The supports for WG Uni very, very poor because they have to keep purchasing all this detection. The vision game becomes so important, and that's where compLexity have the invis of the Weaver as well as that Moonlight Shadow, which is denting that WG Unity economy.
Z-Freak, of course, working for that Yule Sept as of next. Nana heading across, but again, no catch. They do get the T-Wall by the looks of it, WG over that into the Raging Ancients area. Mid lane, Swindles and Cancel. I am Nana. They do have a DD on the Mirana at the moment. Turn around onto Z-Freak though, quickly to hold it back. Nana moving in incredibly aggressively with the Chakram. Actually a little low on the mana front, and now CoL looking for the turnaround. Looking for the Nether Stripe. The turret will hold back Monkeys and Z-Freak. Z-Freak falling incredibly low. X-Mart back into the Timber Chain and Nana. That's going to be one down on CoL, and WG Unity, they're not done yet. Moving on to Cancel, they'll take down a second. And not a lot that compLexity can do to hold that one back there. Warriors Gaming just running straight down the middle, and CoL unable to hold them.
Well, we're kind of past that point where compLexity can 5v5 fight. They made a good hold at bottom because they had Weaver in a good position and they caught WG by surprise. But if WG are ready with 5 heroes, you don't want to 5v5 into the Omni Knight. He's got level 4 Purification, the 2 points in Repel is more than enough, and Nana on the front lines, 1200 HP, Reactive Armor, and the Hood.
Swindles, again, a little bit of a questionable curse there. It's not going to get anything achieved with that one as WG just remain in position and hammer down onto the tier 2.
Really hoping to get that Luna to be attacking the Omni in that curse, but every time they see Swindles moving forward, Argent repositions further away.
More money in the bank for WG as they take the tower. They do get the X-Mark into the torrent back onto Mirth. They got the control to bring him down. Yes, they do! Just that little mini stun there with the Lucer beam holding him back so he can't get the time lapse out.
That's
very nicely timed.
That's such a big kill to get as well. They'd already taken the tier 2 tower, which was giving WG Unity a ton of momentum and a bit of a gold advantage. And now with that kill, it's a high value target as well as another follow-up tower. They're going to get this tier 2 top tower uncontested, no trade in sight. compLexity immediately drew lines down this bottom line, basically saying, hey, we've got to push out this bottom lane. We need to start going back to what was working, which was threatening to split push when Z-Freak was doing damage to the tier 2 bottom. When they're farming the enemy jungle where it's much safer to be right now, they need to avoid WG as much as possible. They're going to TP Omni back. He buys a mech and he's been X back in. This is going to be a mech high ground push.
This push is going to be very, very scary for compLexity to try and deal with.
They've even got a pipe.
They've got it already here, WG.
Nana. Well, have they got the damage is the question. They've got level 4 Disruption, Lunar Illusions. If this tower goes down, then the Bouncing Glaives will potentially destroy them. Level 4 Bouncing Glaives, 6 bounces per attack. You've got to defend this tower. You can't let it get to the rack.
You've got to do something. And Monkeys trying to move a bit of an opening just to charge onto Nana. That can easily pop by Kang. Nana Stays firm here up on the high ground. They look at the X-Mark Torrent combo once more onto Mu. Holding him back at the top. Arrow flies through. Isn't going to connect from Cancel. He's heading back over. Still just 500 short of that Aghanim. Something that is desperately needed for defenses like this. But at this stage with the pipe on, Nana, you got to ask yourself how much that would actually change things. Nana moves in aggressively. Monkey's caught in the torrent. The boat flying through as well. Monkeys is down. 30 seconds out on the sidelines in complexity. They're going to have to hold this one 4v5. Buyback is available, but yeah, they move, getting incredibly close to death. They do get the arrow connection onto Kunkka, but the repels there from Kang. And the follow-up physical damage is just not there at the moment from Complexity's lineup. They've lost to tier 3, and Warriors Gaming, I mean, they're not showing any sign of leaving anytime soon. They're going to remain in this position and continue to push on to the racks. They've fallen the 19-minute mark here.
Nana doesn't even have to use his pipe. He's holding it for a fight, but Complexity, they don't want to engage. They've hit an arrow, and Luna, is this go time?
It is a good arrow, but again, the follow-up is so hard to commit. With Kangri just sitting on the back line, throwing out the repels and the purification. Swindles himself getting cut down incredibly short. Nana going in deep, has to put the pipe to keep himself alive. Arjit though, comes in with the Eclipse, forces Complexity to back up.
That's the ultis, but they're going to get at least a range Rex, and then they're going to back off likely.
Here we go again, arrow into the charge. Repel again from Kangri, making it so hard for Complexity to commit onto one target. Warriors Gaming now starting to back up. Moon chasing down Arfu, jumped up in the air. Cancel's going to be dropped though, the first casualty on CoL. Z-Freak to fall as well, double kill for Arjit. There'll be a Winter's Curse coming out to Kangaroo, but the damage during it isn't enough to bring him down. WG move forward for more, take a third. Nana now on a killing spree, and it really feels like Complexity's draft just hasn't got it in it to hold back this push at this early of a stage.
They picked the Winter Wyvern to try and deal with his pushes. It's not the Winter Wyvern that's failing so much, it's the rest of the draft. Something also mentioned was the Spirit Breaker. You can't charge into this team. There's a Torrent, there's a Boat, there's a Timbersaw. I mean, all these heroes basically make the Spirit Breaker an irrelevant hero. Monkeys has played a great game. He contested that offlane so well, but his hero cannot fight into the WG Unity draft, and now it is a 20-minute top racks claimed as Complexity have their work cut out for them. They just hit this perfect timing where it wasn't like any of this, oh, let's get Roshan and then we go for the push. WG's like, no, we go now. We just took the last tier 2 towers. We've just been picked off. They felt like they were strong with the mech plus pipe. These items are really good when you first get them in this mid-game stage. You don't want to just drag the game and go late with these kind of pickups, and boy, did WG Uni punish Complexity there.
Absolutely. It just feels like the timings haven't been there for CoL. Going back down to the mid lane start off, the fact that Cancel fell behind, and still 20 minutes in, trying to finish off that Aghanim Scepter because of the lack of farm in the early game. And then, of course, Mu still desperately trying to finish off that Diffusal Blade, something that might be able to allow CoL to get these defensives done successfully. They need to somehow take down the target without having to worry about Kangaroo backing him up.
Yeah, that's the biggest reason why that Rax went down without a fight. It kind of looks like, oh, why Complexity is giving up a Rax without fighting? Well, the only way to fight is to jump one here and burst them down, but that's just not possible versus an Omni Knight. That's what Omni Knight gave this draft. That ability to prevent that single target burst damage, not just the Omni Knight, but the Shadow Demon Disruption to save. They've got this great saving potential and the damage negation coming from the Kunkka's Ghost Ship, the run there. So the possibility to burst down one target just isn't there. They still haven't got the Accepted quite yet completed on Cancel, and because of this, until they get this Diffusal, Complexity just going to have to avoid fights, and even with the Diffusal, it's still very tricky playing around all the heals, because it's not just the Repel or the Guardian Angel, it's the fact there's this heal as well as Shadow Demon Disruption to keep people alive.
Another tier 2 into the pocket of WG. Nana now with the Bloodstone. You really cannot afford to lose team fights now against this lineup. If he starts to rack up the Bloodstone charges, he's going to be nigh on unkillable for Complexity, and that tier 3 push coming in. At the same time, it looks like CoL, they're just trying to go for a bit of rap. You've got two heroes up at the top, Z-Freak and Mu, the best pushers they've got on their lineup, trying to do something in return. Monkeys charging forward, trying to slow down this push of WG to allow his teammates to get something down that bottom, but the combos there from Kunkka bringing down Monkeys. The racks are exposed, and WG, they continue to push. Z-Freak and Mu, they may finally back up. Indeed, it looks like Z-Freak, he's going to remain there. Mu's already headed back to try and help out with this defense, but they're losing the bottom racks, and at 22.5 minutes in, Complexity losing 2 sets of racks against WG.
Yeah, Nana TP back just in time to make sure, okay, we're not going to lose a racks for this. We'll give you a tier 3 tower for taking your racks, but you will not trade racks with us. WG Unity, make sure they leave the pushing Luna. and then get back and defend. That gives them a monstrumental lead here. 2 lanes of racks at 23 minutes in. They line up scales going into the late game. Timber, Luna, these heroes just shot. What? Luna? Excuse you?
I think he's
far
messing
ahead,
about. That's not how you build BKB.
Oh, maybe in Southeast Asia. Maybe in their surface. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Not here in Boston.
Well, then we have a very, very stacked looking curry there. Glimmer Cape coming out. BKB Yules for the members of WG Unity.
That's really the scariest part about losing 2 lanes of Rex this early on is the amount of money you get for it. And CoL,
this is the kind of plays you've got to do.
They
But
knew it was coming.
It's not up to a good start, and immediately WG smoke up themselves. They want to try and get the jump on CoL. And they may just get it here with this wraparound. We'll see if compLexity are ready for this one. Still under the cover of a bit of smoke, some of the members. At Warriors Gaming, they may just say, screw this, right? We'll just push in your base and look for mega creeps. I mean, mid lane, the creep wave already pushing up to the high ground.
They need a big Winter's Curse on someone like an Omni Knight to burst
They need
him
an
down.
absolutely massive Winter's Curse.
Followed up with like a Split Earth or an arrow to chain stun and get the kill, but even if you try chain stun the Omni Knight, then the Shadow Demon could repel and save him. Very difficult to get that kill.
It's going to have to be an incredible hold, and the start off here, it's not too great. Winner's Curse onto RG, it doesn't achieve much at all, and already the combo coming and catching out Z-Freak and Swindles with the GA, allowing Wings Gaming to move in for more. They've not only just found one, they've forced out the buyback immediately from Z-Freak. Moo trying to draw them out to the back, but the Purification Burst brings down the bug, and Moo does not have buyback here. 24 minutes in, compLexity getting absolutely battered at this stage, running back to the base, back to the fountain. 14-7, Z-Freak to die back as well. He's down for a full minute. And this game, it's all over.
Yeah.
GG, CoL tap out. And Warriors Gaming, 25, an absolute clinical performance from there, from start to finish. compLexity did have a little bit of an up at the beginning. They were finding the ganks, but the farm, Warriors Gaming just out-farming them from the start. They managed to find the timing. As soon as there was that 20-minute push up top where they got the racks, it kind of felt like Warriors Gaming said to each other, hey, we've got this, we can push, and there's nothing that CoL can do to stop it.
Yeah, they itemized for that mid game where they had the mech, the pipe, everything. They were able to just 5-man down those towers, and the first one was stopped. It was starting to look a little worrying for them because compLexity held that bottom fight with some great play, and that's the whole thing. I don't feel like compLexity played badly by anything.
No.
It was purely down to strategy where WG Unity had this hero composition that compLexity didn't have good answers for. They needed more time, more farm to come online. Perhaps if Cancel did better in that mid lane, we could have seen the Agcept to come online sooner. That would have made a bit of difference, but it was the discipline for WG Unity where they didn't sit around and say, okay, we can take Roast and push. They didn't go for Roast the entire game. That to me is the most impressive part about that overall plan, where they just said, we don't need Roast, we're good to go now.
Absolutely, but a very quick game, a very impressive performance from WG Unity, and we'll be able to bring in Alex in the panel here to hear what they have to say about that. So it was it was almost a stomp, really.
Yeah, but that was not what the score or we anticipated, right? That just didn't feel like anyone was expecting to see WG, but in that manner, pick up that win.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people came into this series seeing obviously compLexity the other day, taking down EG 2 times, but as a lot of people have said, maybe compLexity is just EG's kryptonite, and at the end of the day, it seemed like Warriors Gaming can turn up like this and show them how it's done.
Well, you two are quite a Superman pair anyway. We'll be back to you for our second cast. We have to talk about the first one. It was brief. Hopefully these guys have got a good understanding of what did go down. I think we returned to the closing points. We closed with Winter saying, I like this composition from WG Unity. And, I mean, it certainly worked. compLexity unable to kind of best this 5-man hero roster.
Just the lanes, so they
lanes?
lost all their lanes. In Dota, if you lose 3 lanes out of 3, you're basically screwed,
Yeah.
There's no way. Even in certain cases, you lose 2 lanes hard enough, the game is like pretty hard after that. So I think for compLexity, the biggest issue was just the lanes this game. They drafted lineup that was really good at killing stuff, getting to a certain power spike with Aghanims or Mirana, but they just lost the lane phase way too hard.
20 minutes in and the top racks falls, Ben. That's not something any of us would have anticipated, surely.
Not at all. And Leshrac is really poor at this sort of situation. If you have Edict and Stun, and you can't run in with Edict, you can't run in with your Spirit Breaker because of the Timber Cell, and then they have a pipe for all their other damage, no one is dying at all.
They
On top of
had
that, they have the Rum.
Omni Knight plus the bolt from Kanka. Like, literally, they had so many defensive spells at their disposal.
It had to be like a perfectly played Winter Wyvern, I think, to salvage this.
It was really difficult though, because even if you get a big curse, as long as Omni's not caught in, that's why you saw Melons. He was like really under pressure to get the curse on the Omni Knight, because if he doesn't get Kang in the curse, he's just gonna pop his G and heal his teammates up, and the ulti will be wasted.
So I mean, when you were looking for counterplay, what complexity could have done differently versus this composition? You're struggling to find answers.
With this draft, I feel like they drafted themselves a little bit into a corner where the draft was supposed to go and kill and win their lanes and then kill and more,
Sure.
and then just go high ground at some point after you've dominated the rest of the game. But with not winning the game, winning the lanes, and not winning the game actually
Close.
as well, but with not winning the lanes, they never could really fight. So then you all are on the defensive the whole time, and their counter push is just not enough. I mean, there's very little enough to counter push against Shadow Demon and Luna, but then Winter Wyvern is just not really the right one there,
This
or
is
at least not by itself.
the reason why when we see teams pick hero for their offlaner, it's either a good, really solid initiator, or they have like big AoE, like big spell for a team fight. Whereas in this game, Monkeys couldn't do anything with the SB. Like he couldn't really charge in. He couldn't really afford to run in first for his team. That's usually what you do as SB. You run in first, you create space for a team, and your team follows up. But this game, they literally could not run in at all.
Yeah, and
despite they had 6-2. The early game they had 6 kills to 2. But
what did you say? What did you say, Winter, in that green room?
I was watching that game 6-2, but
yeah. You're like 6-2, but Warriors are winning. They just got the first tower.
They're winning
right?
all the lanes, so it doesn't really matter that they gave up 6 kills.
Yeah, and of course, let's not forget, I think that score ended with 7. So it was 6-2 and 16-7. That was where complexity did fall off the face of the earth. And while we do have it on your screens, it's worth mentioning, Ben, it happened again. Shadow Demon, 100% win rate, picked all 5 games we've seen so far here in the Wang Theatre. And every single time we've seen victory come its way.
He's just been very reliable. He has 11 assists in this game, and I think something that complexity maybe relied too much on in the group stage is not having any setup for the Leshrac and the Mirana in general.
Okay.
In this game, Leshrac didn't really have a partner to run around with. They weren't able to kill anything. Even a Spirit Breaker charge into Mirana could be messed up by a Fateful Bash. And in the last series that we saw with the EG, they had SD Leshrac, just very solid, very stable, very difficult to miss, easy to execute. And I actually don't know how they won so many games with just a straight Leshrac without any setup.
Because their lanes, I think because their lanes didn't go so bad. This is the first time when they picked Leshrac and they lost their lanes so badly. It makes a huge world of difference when you're winning your lanes and the pick suddenly looks like, oh, this pick is actually easy to execute because we won our lanes. But now with the lanes being down the drain, then the hero becomes very weak.
So we also thought their opener was weak. It was Winter Wyvern?
Winter Wyvern
Mirana.
We haven't seen really at all, unless it's first Drow Ranger.
Isn't it coming once? I think we've seen it once, if not as a
something
response
like
He was expecting to use it well against the SD Luna, but in the end it didn't work out very well because of the Omni Knight. The Omni Knight just made sure, and the Kanka as well. They had 2 defensive heroes with big AoE spells that save your team, so it makes the Wyvern redundant in the team fights.
Even for Shadow Demon, I don't think it's particularly great. You can still just disrupt the target.
I mean, I'm just
really
explaining why he actually chose. He was he was expecting to give away the SD, and he wanted a hero that can clear the illusions and use the illusions to kill the other heroes. That was probably the plan.
With all this discussion of heroes, it's my pleasure to introduce a hero of mine. Purge is hanging out to go ahead and explain things. I'm just going to try and approach this with flattery, Kevin. Is it working?
It's sort of working. I think we have a decent layout here. I think there's a couple major things, mostly about the Timber Saw.
Okay.
I think that was a lot of it.
Show me what you got.
Well, gladly, I'm ready to start. Stopped interrupting me. Jeez, man. Okay. Timber mid. Very strong, hard to kill. This is the first time CoL ended up ganking him. It ended up taking 4 heroes, and even then it wasn't very easy. And I think this is really the big fixture that caused CoL to have a lot of trouble, especially as they got into the mid game. I mean, we also had some tower trading. This looked really good for CoL at this point. They got some more kills than their opponents. They were getting about equal net worth, even though they had less farm, just because of how many kills they had. But Warriors Gaming was very good to actually trade towers and things like that. This transitioned a bit later. This is the big fight mid that kind of sealed the deal in a lot of ways for CoL, just because they put so much effort into trying to kill the Timber Saw, but it was so difficult to do so once he got the hood up, because almost all their heroes have magic damage. Maybe, for example, the Weaver could have gone Deso first instead of Dragonlance. That might have been an option, but they just had so much trouble killing him once he actually got repelled. And then after they win fights like these and take towers, and you have the extra abuse of Kunkka being able to X an ally, bring him back immediately after getting items, and that means there's no downtime between pushes at all as long as your heroes don't die. So once they got ahead and it was hard for them to get killed, it just pretty much closed out the game and it was over. Back to
Thank
you
you
guys.
very much, Purge. Once again, just helping us get a further understanding of exactly what went right and what went wrong. compLexity, it was a great interview with Moo, and one of the things he did highlight, he said that sometimes he feels like the criticism held towards them isn't justified. However, the criticism now that we are identifying within compLexity is that it was almost not lost in the draft, but they certainly didn't make it easy for themselves in the draft. Is that the general consensus here, Shiva? You're pulling funny faces?
Yeah, because it wasn't that strong of a performance from them.
Sure.
And I do think that all the credit does go to WG Unity because they had a clear and solid plan, but at the same time it feels like maybe, compLexity tried something out, see, hey, let's see what happens if we let Shadow Demon Luna through and let's see if we can counter it. At the same time, also something that Moose said in an interview was that he was happy to lose the first game and then learn from it and come back. So I hope that they learned maybe Shadow Demon Luna a little bit too strong.
Well, I mean, there's definitely a correlation between Shadow Demon and victory at the moment. The other trends we had in the group stage have fallen off, though. Not a single Magi yet. I mean, it's been banned quite heavily. What other trends did we see in the group stage that haven't translated?
No Warlock.
No Warlock. Yeah, that's true. Batrider has popped up. I'm trying to think what else has been a common presence.
IO?
That's true. There was a lot of
quite
IO.
a few IO games.
And that's specified per team, I think. I think most of the teams today don't really play it, and we'll see it more. For example, our last match of the day, which is OG MVP, I think we might see it in that one.
That's true. That's true.
Interesting. I mean, this has been a development across, you know how we talked about the development from TI to the Summit to here. We've even seen development from day 1 to now what is coming into essentially day 3, albeit after a 2-day hiatus. The players are making their way back onto stage, but we do have just enough time to go ahead and see what the guys over from the community have been saying. This is one of my favorite parts. We get to see a question from the community for our panel. Some are a little more meta-focused than others. It was a really good discussion we had in the previous segment, asking us if the longest patch has been better. This one, what will be our new Cinderella story at this major from Yellow Panda? Well, there's plenty.
Because isn't the Cinderella story only possible for the one that actually wins?
Yes. Well, I mean, the Cinderella story is from rags to riches,
Okay,
right?
well, you get at Finham. I think that is
That could be one.
team that is noteworthy. You cut compLexity as well. I think kind of looked at as the second NA team, and here proving that they already beat EG, that they can definitely be the #1 as well, which remains to be seen if they can also do that in the rest of this series. And then you got WG Unity, another one. They're actually facing each other, so only one will continue with their Cinderella story. Did I miss out any?
LGD.
LGD as well, not being in the major, then coming into the major
As a 1 seed?
as a 1 seed. That's true
a
too.
big point, isn't it? From not having an invite extended to them due to issues with execration coming into the major. And now, I mean, they're playing to potentially get to that semi-finals should everything go to plan in a kind of China v China bottom bracket. Anything else to add to that list, Ben? I mean, basically, in terms of Cinderella stories, the list we have it could be Warriors. I mean, let's not forget they have just taken a win versus compLexity, who have beaten EG. They've also beaten Wings. I mean, they're taking scalps here. WG could be that Cinderella. They could be getting their dress on now, just trying to find those glass slippers.
Could you be our Cinderella story?
I mean, I would look good in glass slippers. I'm just saying, it would make the booty pop. I'd rock that. I would. And everyone is judging me now. Okay, another social media question.
No comment.
I'm actually just wiping the sweat from my brow as I claim I'm wearing glass slippers. What have we got? How different are the skills needed for Dota 2 compared to CSGO? That's coming from Ari the Ugly. Comparing Valve games. That's a ballsy one.
I mean, that's for you.
That's for
How different are the skills needed for Dota 2 compared to CSGO? I mean, there's a lot of crossover in terms of mechanical ability. You still have to have a very firm understanding of the game. It's
Very
just
good communication.
great communications. You have to be a competitive player in terms of there's a common trend in Dota and CS where if you used to be good at sports, a lot of players have had a professional background or semi-professional in sports and end up playing Dota or CS. So there's some elements. There's a lot of difference though. I mean, decision making, you have to have it in CS. You have to have it in Dota. It's just very different decisions being made. Oh, I'm trying to think of a comparison. As Dota player, Ben, when you look at CS, what you can make a comparison. Sure.
Well, I know some of the professional Dota players that plays CS. What's one of the highest ranked, global elite?
Yeah.
I think S4 is global elite, and he's on OG. I also have seen many of the VP players as well as Faceless players just play CSGO in their spare time, so that's something that they clearly enjoy. But
I imagine a lot of the skills translate.
Yeah,
I would imagine so. I mean, but the difference is perhaps the micro. I mean, you're putting your crosshair on a head as opposed to a crosshair on different heroes. But I mean, from a player's perspective, Winter, you still have to be the mouse precision is almost equal, right?
I can't comment on that because I get motion sickness when I play CS.
Oh yeah, you said.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Just too much moving.
What about when you play like Timbersaw? Do you get motion sickness?
Nah.
What about Storm? No?
Any Dota hero? No.
Any Dota hero gives you
No,
motion
it's like you
Nah.
have to be the first person.
Yeah, if I'm the first, I think it's more to do with that. First
Yeah.
person.
Interesting. Good question though coming in. We're having a lot of diverse questions. I saw
like
actually that you can actually submit them over on Reddit. That's actually the primary source of these. So if you are sitting there,
Can I ask a question, Alex?
oh god,
When are you going to play Dota 2?
tonight if you're willing to teach me, come on, jump on. I've been trying to get some Dota sessions.
He's a
going in
hard
the hotel. I mean, I went to watch him.
He flames.
Yeah, I don't trust him actually. I actually